Our featured NIC Talk speaker is Dr. Bill Thomas, author, founder of the Greenhouse Project and Eden Alternative. Dr. Thomas's talk is titled, The Rise of the Social Capitalist. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bill Thomas.
The 2026 Bob Kramer sent me here to talk to you about what changed, about how everything changed. Bob wanted me to tell you. But if you're going to understand what I have to say, you have to know something about me. If you really want to understand what happened, you have to understand that I grew up in a wealthy family. I grew up about 10 miles outside of Wysocks, Pennsylvania, in the Wapasening Creek Holler. I grew up with a great-grandfather who kept bees, and my uncle kept a milk cow and a flock of laying hens. I grew up watching my dad take the shotgun and go hunting and bring dinner home. As I said, I come from a wealthy family. That's the thing, you know? You here in 2015, I have to remember you don't realize what changed, what happened. Bob wanted me to talk to you about how the baby boom generation, the post-war generation, changed the world we live in, changed the very nature of aging. And he reminded me that that generation, at every point in the life cycle, its density, its size, its economic power, at every point distorted and changed our culture the way a neutron star can literally bend light. The post-war baby boom generation accomplished an extraordinary shift in our conception of aging. They became the first social capitalists. You know, in the past, those of you back here in 2015, I find it so funny the way you're dressed and the work you do. You know, you do deals, and it's so funny. You think that you can build things that people will want, but I'm here to tell you, brass and glass will never have heart and soul. Never. I became a social capitalist in the late teens. I said the word social. That sometimes makes people think of socialism or something. But social capitalism is different. I have a room full of financial capitalists, so let me compare and contrast. Financial capital believes in investment. So does social capital. Financial capital believes in a rate of return. So does social capital. Financial capital believes in making the world a better place. So does social capital. Financial capital, though, you can put numbers down on a sheet. It has not only digits, it has decimal points. Social capital's not like that. The social capital I grew up with, my inheritance, you couldn't pay enough money to have my inheritance, to be surrounded by older relatives every single day, to be watched over and to be loved every single day of my life. Try putting a decimal point on that. The older people in my family were valuable human beings. The family, I told you I grew up in a wealthy family. No member of my family ever saw the inside of a nursing home. Ever. And when the boomers entered into the late teens, they started to do things and see things differently than you might have expected. Whereas once, millions of people flocked to Sun Belt retirement communities where they spray painted the lawns green. That didn't happen. Turns out people wanted to be, members of the post-war generation wanted to be part of a community. They wanted to be surrounded with people they knew and trusted and cared for. It turns out they wanted to be part of something larger than themselves. And before I got in the DeLorean, Bob reminded me about how he used to run a food co-op in Cambridge. I said, Bob, you were a budding social capitalist, even back then. What lies ahead is we can see the glimmers of it in the village movement, in the Evermore model out of the UK. We can see the beginnings in intentional households, senior co-housing, pocket neighborhoods. All of these concepts are built around the idea that belonging matters most. To love and to be loved. To cherish and to be cherished. To give and to receive. These are the ancient transactions of social capital. For generations before us, they were the normal way of living. I'm sorry to say to the assembled group that financial capital has only a small part to play in the future. Because the thing that changed, the thing that made everything different, is that people began to learn how to build community for and among themselves in just the same way as you can turn a green field into a senior housing community in 24 months flat. I admire your spunk. Bob told me not to mention this part, but I'm going to do it anyway. He didn't want you to know about the great emptying. Yeah, it started in the late teens. All that stuff that got built, people didn't want it. It's like the malls. They started emptying out. A big part of it had to do with the Affordable Care Act and how the pressure came to start taking care of older people in places that were less medicalized. So hospitals and healthcare systems started to take care of people who were acutely ill outside of the building. In the state of Ohio, they actively recruited people living in nursing homes with this offer: would you like to go home? I'd like you to imagine the response to that question. And the state of Ohio saved millions of dollars. The great emptying. Do you realize? Well, I have to remember where I am. This is a time when there are more nursing homes in America than McDonald's restaurants. In 2026, there is one still open, and the kids come from schools and the buses to tour because they want to see what it used to be like for the grandmas and grandpas before. So that's it. I only have a little time with you. I want you to know I respect you. I consider you to be my fellows, my friends. Everybody in this room cares about elders. Every single one of you comes from elders. Many of us will be elders. But I bring you news. The future is not real estate. The future is feel estate. Feel estate. And it's very likely that there's people in this room who could go, "Taw!" like my great-granddad used to. "Taw! It's ridiculous. That's soft, not real." But I say, being loved and loving is more real than anything. Now, the DeLorean's waiting. I've got to go. See ya. Bye. Okay.